So welcome everyone to the InterHigh online open evening. I've just been looking in the chat box at so many exciting places all over the world that parents and children are joining us from. So welcome to all parts of the world, Europe, Africa, Middle East, Asia and South America, I counted, and a big welcome to all of you today. So we're going to talk today a little bit about the education division, and as Matt said earlier, my name is Sarah De Freitas. I'm the Executive Director of Education here at Way Education, and I'm an educator with over 25 years of experience in education as a teacher, researcher, manager and senior executive, and my specialist area is online education, so welcome again today. So today we're going to talk a little bit about us, about InterHigh's school in particular, and I'll talk a little bit about the organisation of the education area. And then I'm going to pass over to my colleague Paul Daniel, who founded InterHigh, and he's going to talk a little bit about the key stages for the platform that we use, our assessment and extracurricular activities. Then I'll hand over to Cassandra Millington, who's going to give us a demonstration of our classrooms. And at the end, we'll have time for Q&A with our panel of senior academic team members. So that's the schedule for this evening. So first of all, just a little bit about us. At InterHigh, we conduct around 14,000 hours of live lessons each year, and we undertake about 900 recordings per week. We were established in 2005, and we're a leading online education provider in the UK, with around 3,000 students studying with us. And we have around 100 teachers based both in the UK and some are overseas as well, and all our teachers are qualified to the highest level. So here's the education structure as we have it. I report into the CEO of Way Education PLC, and my team includes 4 associate deans who support different areas of the portfolio: quality and evaluation, curriculum and portfolio, learning experience and innovation, as well as alternative provision. And I'm at the moment playing an acting role as head of InterHigh as well. And we have 3 heads of faculty reporting into me: humanities and social sciences, science and arts. And we have senior leaders of learning that report into those faculties heads, and the leaders of learning report into the senior leaders of learning. So those are the teachers as well. So this is the senior academic team as we have it. I mentioned earlier Paul Daniel, he's going to be speaking in a little while. He was one of the founders of InterHigh. We have Stephen Phipps, who's in charge of alternative provision, David Townsend, who leads the quality and evaluation area, and Tom Evans, who's supporting innovation and the learning experience. And then we have our 3 heads of faculty: Cal Hendry, who's the head of science, Cassandra Millington, who heads up arts, and Jenny Phipps, who's answering some questions in the background. She heads up humanities and social sciences. So that's the team we have here at InterHigh. And then we're very ably assisted and directioned by our academic council, which functions a little bit as a governing body in a normal school would do. And that's chaired by leading educator Dame Erica Pienaar, who's also a non-executive director and sits on our board. And we also have Carolyn Unstead, who's an external who supports us on that council. Then in terms of pastoral support, we have quite a lot of strength here. The team is led by Thomas Millington. He works with Susan Burke and Charlie Linden. We also have 7 pastoral leads across the school, and our tutors play a pastoral role as well. So we have a lot of strength in this area, and we like to support our students as much as we possibly can. So just a couple of quotes now from a couple of parents and a learner who studied with us. I'll let you just read that first quote from the parents. highlighting some of the flexibility that we can give to our students and to our parents. And then one quote from one of our learners. Sort of accentuates the point that online schooling is the future of education. I think that's a really inspiring quote there. So before I hand over to my colleague Paul Daniel, who'll talk a little bit about the school, I want to show a short video. Thank you.
Great, well thanks for that introduction, Sarah, very good. And my name is Paul Daniel, as explained before, and it's my joy to explain more details about the school and how everything works. And it's great to see so many people here today come to have a look at InterHigh and all we have to offer and experience what it's like to be in the classroom. You know, you're getting a feel for the sort of feeling that the students have in the classroom. So you've got the interaction, the activities, the displays, and you're getting a feel for, you know, a classroom. And later on, you'll get the chance to interact as well in terms of asking questions of us. So let's just go through the school. I mean, InterHigh is mirroring the English Welsh national curriculum in terms of delivering a range of subjects, Key Stage 2, 3, 4 and 5. So we actually take students as young as 8 into years 4. And then finally in year 13, we have students who are finishing their A-levels, age 18, and going off to university. So you can see that we've got quite a broad range of age groups. And we teach to the national curriculum at Key Stage 2 and 3 with our main core subjects you'd expect to see. And then at Key Stage 4, we do international GCSEs. And at Key Stage 5, we do international A-levels. And this enables our students then to move on to college and university. If we start with Key Stage 2, we can see that you've got the core subjects there listed top left. There's a few clubs available. There's some support groups in the different subjects if anybody needs a bit of extra support or encouragement. And also there's a small amount of extracurricular activities enabling students to meet each week in a tutor group and mix and join with different clubs and activities. So you can see that it's not just the academic side. The students also develop a social relationship with each other. They go around from class to class in their tutor groups, so they will travel from their maths lesson to their English lesson with the same students in the same group. and we have dedicated teachers for subjects at Key Stage 2, so they'll have a separate science teacher, separate English teacher, and maths teacher, etc. We don't have one teacher covering all the subjects. Now we cover years 4, 5, and 6, so these are the last 3 years of what in Britain is primary school. So these are students being aged 9, being aged 10, and being aged 11 during the school year. And then at the end of Key Stage 2, when they're sort of 11 years old, they move on to Key Stage 3. Key Stage 3 covers 3 years, so that's years 7, years 8, and years 9. So these are students being 12, being 13, and being 14 years old during the school year. And in Britain, this is normally the first 3 years of what's called secondary school. You can see that there's a bit of an expansion in terms of the subjects being covered. You've got the core subjects there, down there, bottom left. We've got a few additional subjects, some only available to year 9s though, getting students ready for GCSE work. There's a few more courses available that students can opt to join in with. Perhaps they fancy doing a creative writing course or learning a bit of Mandarin. There's some clubs available. You'll see similar support groups to help students who may be struggling or need support with their maths, with their science, etc. And a few extracurricular activities as well. So again, the students are in tutor groups and they travel from subject to subject with their similar students as they go from one specialist teacher to the next specialist teacher in that subject. So that's Key Stage 3. So when the students have finished Key Stage 3, they are then in a position to start their international GCSE courses, which we study over 2 years. And we study what's called Key Stage 4, years 10 and 11 in Britain. And again, you'll see bottom left the core IGCSE subjects that we study. These are obviously the key subjects, important subjects. But you'll notice just above that on the left, there's a range of additional subjects as well. So quite a wide range of IGCSEs, like psychology, which seems extremely popular in the school. And there's alternative languages, religious studies, a bit more sort of spread of subjects to engage our students, give them opportunities to try out different subjects that they're interested in. And then top right as well, I'll just point you to top right, the assured courses. These are non-GCSE courses that we put on in subjects that it's very difficult to do an IGCSE online in. So we do assured courses that are approved by City and Guilds that enable our students to develop and get certification in art, design, drama, computer games design, a number of areas which normally they wouldn't be able to study. Again, we've got the support groups if students need help. Bottom right, you can see some optional courses as well, similar ones, and there are some clubs as well. Again, students are based in tutor groups, but obviously as they go from subject to subject, because of their subject choices, there will be a bit more splitting up of the classes because they may not do geography, so they might do something else when their class are doing geography, so a bit more separation. But they are still in tutor groups. They'll meet once a week with their tutor, and also the tutor will be doing, hopefully doing some one-to-ones with the students to support them and guide them through their schooling. Obviously, Key Stage 4, international GCSEs is very important. The international GCSEs were originally developed for international schools, and they're of a similar ranking to GCSEs. And obviously, this enables our students, if they stay at InterHigh, to do A-levels with us, or if they move on to college in the UK, then they can move on and do A-levels at colleges and schools, in whichever country they are living in. And then finally, the academic peak of the school, if you like, is Key Stage 5. This is A-levels. So this is 2 years studying A-levels. You can see the subjects there, about 20 odd subjects available for students to study. And it's these subjects, when they get their international A-levels in, that enable students to move on to university. Okay? So these are normally students being aged 17 and being aged 18 in the school year. Just move on a bit. Okay, a bit more about the learning platform itself. Now we're in a classroom now, so our students learn in the classroom, so obviously the teacher talking to them, explaining things, students can participate, and you'll see a bit of the variety of tasks that students can do and activities. Cassandra will be showing you those after I've finished. But I will also point out that we've got quite a sophisticated learning platform that enables students to access their lessons, their live lessons like this, but also enables us to put material on there that supports their learning outside of the classroom. So all our lessons are recorded, for example. You may notice there's a red dot right in the top right-hand corner. That's showing that we are recording this session. All our lessons are recorded, which is a great facility because it means if any students miss a lesson for any reason, doctor's appointment, traveling, whatever, it does mean they can watch the exact lesson that they missed whenever they want, 24 hours a day. That lesson is available for them to go and watch, which is brilliant. If you've missed a lesson, it means you don't miss out at all. You can watch the exact lesson that you missed and you don't miss out. That, of course, is also great for revision and also for any students who struggle a bit. Perhaps they've been in a maths lesson and they haven't quite understood it. They can go and look at the recording as many times as they want and work their way through it. They can start the video of the lesson, and it enables them to sort of get a more in-depth learning and to go back over something again and again, because that repetitive going over material enables it to really sink in and for them to fully understand it. So as well as the live lessons where students react and speak on microphones and text and get presentations and PowerPoints and the facilities that Cassandra will show, there is a lot of learning takes place at InterHigh outside of the classroom. So teachers can put materials onto the courses. All students have various courses that they are assigned to, and within the course, teachers can put in materials in there. They can put extra learning materials, videos, quizzes, extra material to help the students learn and develop and get strong at that particular subject. So this is a very key feature of the school, that we're not just learning in the live lessons, that students are learning throughout the day. We have a system of, we do set work, so the teachers present the work, they'll explore the work and do some examples and quizzes and things, and then also they'll reflect on their work, and also we'll give them some apply assignments to do. So students will be expected to do some work and submit that work, and teachers obviously will mark the work and give feedback to the students. And parents, you'll see that feedback and you'll see your scores as well that your student is doing, so you can measure progress and see how your child is progressing. We do some baseline assessments when students join us. We ask them to do a test depending on their key stage, and this gives us an indication of what level that student is capable of achieving, and that's great for our teachers to know what they're capable of. And then there is some social side as well. Students actually developed quite close bonds within the classroom. It's surprising how they develop a social interactions in the classroom and obviously outside the classroom as well. We have a Yammer social website where students can interact with each other if they want to. Also, a few times a year we put on some physical meetups to give a chance, perhaps go and visit some studios. We visited Harry Potter studios together. We regularly at Easter we do a sort of outward bounds type experience, PGL or activity centre, where students get a chance to meet up and do canoeing, climbing, all that sort of thing. And also at the end of the year, you can see a slide there, bottom right picture, of our students taking part in a ball at the end of the summer term, so they don't miss out. Although unfortunately, of course, they have, as everyone else has, missed out this year with any physical meetups. There are various fees, obviously, to pay, and there are various contracts available. You can see there's a rolling half-term contract. So if you're not 100% committed for the full year, then potentially you can join for half a term, trial it, and see how it goes. And then at the end of that half-term, you can, if you want to, do a full year commitment, or perhaps roll on your half-term a little. These are the actual fees you can see on this slide here, and there's a facility on the website and information about this where you fill in what you want to do and it calculates and works out your fees. And of course, if you've got any queries on this sort of thing, then admissions and admin are available to answer those queries. Right, so just take the arrow off the screen apparently. And then the Key Stage 4, Key Stage 5, a bit more complication in the fees depending on how many subjects you're doing. So there's a core price for doing the core subjects, and then if you want to do additional subjects, there's a cost for each additional subject depending on what type it is. And then of course A-levels are priced individually, so you can see the prices there. And of course this is all available on the website, and there's a lot of information on the website as well, so please do make sure you're familiar with that. Okay, well I'm now going to hand over to Cassandra Millington, who's going to give you some experience of how the learning takes place in your school, in our school. Thank you very much.
Hello, good evening everyone. Thank you for joining us once again. So yes, thank you Paul. I'm Cassandra Millington. I am the Head of Faculty for Arts. I teach English and Communication here at Way Education. So you're experiencing the sort of typical classroom scenario that our students experience. We've got teacher on webcam. Earlier you had the chat box facility, so you were able to interact with one another, send responses to the teacher in the room. You can see the presentation facility. We're able to present PowerPoint presentations to our students, but also to use the whiteboard here. So I'll just allow for a moment for all of you to have a try with this. You can do a little drawing, a little squiggle on the whiteboard from now. You can see those tools on the left-hand side allow you to change the colour of your squiggles. If you're feeling creative, allow you to type in text as well. Okay, hello. And then we can switch that off again once everybody's had a good chance at experiencing that. Thank you. The other thing that you can see then, I think it's just catching up a moment. Oh, there are lots of you drawing on the board. Okay, yes, we've caught up, that's good. The other thing that you can see here then is the poll. So there are different ways for us as teachers to ask questions and collect responses from our students. The poll is a great one because until I broadcast the results, they are anonymous. And then as a teacher, I'm the only one who can see who wrote each answer or who cast each vote. So that's a really useful tool for me as a teacher. We also have something called a Q&A pod, a question and answer pod, that you'll experience later in today's session. And that's really useful for students who would like to send a message privately to their teacher. They can do that without any of the other classmates seeing what they've said. We have microphone facility where our students then can come on microphone to respond to questions, can give presentations themselves and make speeches. So there's lots of opportunity for interaction within the classroom. We're perhaps not allowing all of you quite that same level of opportunity because there are quite a few of you, but certainly in our class sizes we're able to interact throughout the lesson with our students, which is really wonderful. We are also able to share video in the classroom, and those that were here earlier will have seen that. I'll just bring in for you now another video. So videos and music can also be shared in the classroom space.
Friends, Romans, countrymen, lend me your ears. I come to bury Caesar, not to praise him. The evil that men do lives after them. The good is oft interred with their bones. So let it be with Caesar. The noble Brutus hath told you Caesar was ambitious. If it were so, it was a grievous fault, and grievously hath Caesar answered it.
There we go. Some other software that we have at our disposal as teachers is some science simulation software that I can share with you now just by doing this second pod that's coming in for me now. So this is called Focus Learning Software, and you'll see how it can be very useful to simulate a lab environment for science. I'll just share with you a typical sort of physics scenario. So you can see here on screen now that I am able to perform different experiments. Here I've added to the mass, and I can plot that on the graph using the simulation. I can retry that by, as you can see, increasing the applied force and plotting again. And we can also then connect to a video which shows that scenario in real life as well as the simulation. So I'll show that as well for a moment. Okay. So a real range of different activities happening in our lessons every day. As Paul mentioned, it's not just the classroom space. As teachers, we're collecting assignments from students in our learning platform, checking quiz results. We're responding with detailed feedback to students' homework and classwork, and there are opportunities to email your teacher outside of class time if you're unsure of things. So lots of opportunities to get in touch and interact. If you would like more of a class experience.
Thanks very much, Cass, and thanks to Paul as well. So we're just moving into our last segment now. So this is where you will have an opportunity to ask our panel if you have any questions. So I'm just going to quickly introduce the panel. And tonight we have with us Paul Daniel, who's just been talking to you, Cassandra Millington, and we also have Cal joining us from the Head Faculty of Science. So welcome to the panel. Matt Botting, who you might have heard earlier, is going to be the panel rapporteur, so he's going to help us to relay any questions coming from the audience. So it's really over to Matt to give us some questions then. Thanks everyone.
Brilliant, thanks Sarah, and thanks to Paul and Cass as well for their brilliant presentations. What I'm going to do first is I'm just going to go through a couple of frequently asked questions. Hopefully we'll get 10 in. And as you can see, the question answer poll is there available for you all. So if you can ask some questions, that'd be brilliant. And I will then put those to the panel a little bit later on. I'd just like to say as well, we have over 300 people attending this evening, which is great. Also, obviously, it shows that the platform is good for large groups of students. But the only thing I would say is, obviously, if you're asking questions, just bear with our team and they will try and answer you as soon as possible. Okay, so let's start the questions then. So I'll go to Paul first, and this is a question which I'm sure many people will be wondering tonight. If looking to join immediately, which package would you recommend I join?
Okay, well, obviously there's a range of packages you can join. If you're committed, then obviously it makes sense to go for the core package on a sort of long-term basis. If you're slightly nervous about it, not 100% sure how it's going to work, then there is the option of joining just for a term, and then right, it helps if you flip down your mic. So apologies everyone for that. As I was saying, obviously you can choose, there's a variety of packages you can choose, either a sort of full-time package, which is good and takes you through the year, or potentially you can join for half a term. If you're not 100% committed, you're absolutely certain it's going to work, then that gives you a term to decide how it's working. You will be able to tell quite quickly within a few weeks, because you'll be getting regular homeworks being marked for the students, regular feedback, you'll see how they're doing, and it's very easy. You have a parent portal so you can see how the students are doing, so you can then decide at the end of the term if you want to roll that over or join full-time.
That's brilliant, thanks for that, Paul. So I will go to Cass for our next question. What happens if a student needs to miss a lesson for any reason?
Okay, thank you. So we have a flexible absence system in that if you do need to be absent as a parent, you can authorise that through our systems, through our parent portal, so you can let us know why a student was absent or let us know ahead of time. As Paul mentioned, all of the lessons are recorded, so anything that you miss or would just like to watch again is available to you there in the learning platform. And then if you know that you're going to have an ongoing absence, so we have some students very involved in drama who need to go to rehearsals, or sports who need to go to team practice, then you can let us know and you can become a library learner in that subject, so you can always access the lesson recordings and the materials and submit your work without attending that particular live lesson.
That's brilliant. Thanks, Cass. I think that hopefully shows a bit of the flexibility of attending InterHigh. I will go to Cal for the next question, which is again one which is often asked by our parents. How do we assess and monitor progress?
Hi everyone, good evening. Yes, in order to assess our students' progress, that when they first join us or at the start of each year, we do complete a baseline assessment, and this gives us an indication of the child's expected performance, particularly for the exam courses at GCSE and A-level. And teachers can use this information to set targets and to monitor the children's progress. Now, the teachers will continually assess the students' progress during the course. It's formative assessment. It may be, as Paul mentioned, a quick quiz or a task that's completed in the lesson. The students may not even know that it is an assessment, but they're just checking how well the children are progressing. And then there are also some tasks where we ask the students to demonstrate how they can apply what they learn in more summative assessments.
That's brilliant. Thanks for that, Cal. So on a similar sort of note, I'll go to Cass. This is a question which we often get, and it's good to clear up. Is there a test to get into?
Okay. Oh, yes, I'm back. Okay. No, so the school is non-selective, so we don't have any particular test or expect any particular grades, and that also includes our sixth form. So if you're coming to us for A-level, you know, it's very worth calling our admissions team and talking through the schooling that you've had up to that point, because we don't expect any particular level. Yeah, we're non-selective.
Brilliant. Thanks for that, Cass. Another question which we often get asked as well, which is understandable since we're an online school. Do children require textbooks?
Yes, thank you.
And I'll ask
We
Cal
do
that.
provide a book list on the parent portal on enrolment. So when you first join the school, in the parent portal you see lots of documents, and in there there's a book list, and it's got books divided into two categories. There's those that are highlighted red, where they are essential elements of the course, and so we do ask that the students buy those. And then the ones that are coloured black are optional recommended books for use to work alongside the course. We do provide the ISBN numbers for each of the books on the book list, just to make sure that when you're purchasing the book, you're going to get the right one that we are following as part of our course. The book list is available from our admissions or admin team prior to enrolment. If you'd like one, just request it through them.
Brilliant. Yeah, thanks for that, Cal. Another question for you, Cass. How many lessons would an average student take per week?
Okay. So obviously it does vary across the school, because we do go right through from Key Stage 2 to Key Stage 5. But to give people a sort of average, it's around 2 hours per subject per week. We have 40-minute teaching periods, so that's obviously 3 teaching periods in one subject. So if you're on a timetable, a typical timetable is around sort of 7 or 8 subjects. You're looking at 4 to 5 days there of teaching with lessons every day, 4 to 5 lessons a day. I think that works out at.
Brilliant. Thanks for that, Cass. Yeah. Another one for you then, Cal. Is there a minimum
There
number?
is no minimum. We don't set a minimum number of subjects. It's part of the flexibility that we offer. But we would recommend that all of our students and parents sign up for our core package. Paul described the different core packages that were available at each key stage, and that's certainly something that we would recommend.
That's brilliant. Thanks, Carl. I'll go back to you now, Paul, if that's okay. So when can a student enroll and how?
Okay, well, this is one of the unusual situations with InterHigh in that we have students enrolling throughout the year. So we are adaptable and flexible in that we can take on students at any point in the school year. Obviously, it's getting late now towards the sort of midpoint of the third term, the summer term, but you can join at any time. And one of the advantages we have, as I mentioned before, is that the lessons are recorded. So if you do join a class that's been running for 2 terms, you can, once you're joined, go back and have a look at the recordings of all the lessons you've missed that year. Obviously, that's quite a bit of work, but it does mean, say, for example, you're a year 10 and you decide to join now, you could go back over the year 10 work and perhaps work through that over the holidays and catch up and make sure that everything that the year 10s have done at InterHigh, you understand and are ready to move into year 11. So that's quite a good system for that. In terms of the time it takes to join the school, the actual application process, part of that does depend on how quickly the parents are responding in terms of sending back information and making payments, etc., to make sure that you're signed up for the school. Normally it would take 2 weeks in told.